Welcome everybody to a very special live stream. Today, our live stream is called Robots on Their Best Behavior. It's a fireside chat with Dr. Fei-Fei Li and Dr. Jim Fan from NVIDIA. Very excited. You'll see them both with us now. We're not going to do any news at the beginning of this live stream. I'll cover news at the end after their discussion. But today, we would love for you to join us for an in-depth discussion of behavior, a large-scale benchmark and challenge for advancing embodied AI. The session is going to outline scientific vision and research motivations behind behavior, highlight how it links perception, reasoning, and action in real-world household settings, and explain the design of the behavior challenge. It's also going to cover evaluation methodologies, the difference between standard and privileged information tracks, and the role of simulation in advancing robotics research. It's an opportunity to understand how behavior unifies efforts across academia and industry to build robust, human-centered, intelligent agents. First, let's introduce our special guests, and then I'm going to disappear into the background. But Jim, thank you so much for being part of this live stream today. And I understand you are a PhD student of our special guest, Dr. Fei-Fei. Is that correct?
Yes, totally. What a great honor.
So tell everybody what your role is at NVIDIA, and what's the purpose for us doing this today.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jim Fan. I am the director of robotics at NVIDIA, and currently my team and I are spearheading Project Groot, which is to build the robot foundation models for the ecosystem. And today, I'm very honored to have Fei-Fei here. I had the great honor to be her student, and an even greater honor to be the first student who live streams with Fei-Fei. So, at Stanford with Fei-Fei, those years completely reshaped me as a young scientist. I also witnessed the lab's transition from computer vision to embodied vision and robotics. And Fei-Fei's guidance has always been a North Star for me. So thank you so much, Fei-Fei, for making me a better researcher, a better thinker, and also a better live streamer.
I don't think, Jim, you learned live streaming from me, but you know, as you kindly say, it's an honor for you. But the truth is, it's an honor for professors and advisors to work with such brilliant and wonderful students, and you're absolutely one of them.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, Dr. Fei-Fei, please introduce yourself and your background a little bit, and then I'm going to hand over the microphone to Jim so we can start the discussion off.
Yeah, my name is Fei-Fei Li. I'm a professor of computer science at Stanford, as well as the founding co-director of Stanford Human-Centered AI Institute. And right now, I'm also a co-founder, CEO of World Labs, which is a startup that is focusing on spatial intelligence, empowering from virtual worlds to embodied AI worlds.
Amazing. Okay, well, I can't wait. I'm gonna be watching with everybody else. So have a great discussion. This live stream is gonna last about a half hour, and then, like I said, I'll cover the news at the end. Have a great time.
Awesome. I will jump right in. So among the countless stellar achievements of yours, ImageNet is the one that stands out to most people. Looking back, I think ImageNet didn't just benchmark vision models. It really benchmarked an entire era in the history of AI. And when you first launched ImageNet, did you ever imagine it would completely reshape AI?
Thank you, Jim, for opening up with ImageNet. No, I did not imagine, do I reshape anything or not? I imagined what my curiosity would take me. And at that time, my curiosity was really intertwined dual focus. One is, what is a fundamental problem to define in visual intelligence, so that unlocking that problem would largely unlock visual intelligence? It's not going to, of course, visual intelligence is very rich, but there are some fundamental problems. And ImageNet defined object recognition, especially classification, as one of the most fundamental problems. It was a North Star problem. The second equally important problem I was going after was a more technical problem of what's the role of big data in machine learning. And it was, as you know, ImageNet together with neural network, especially convolutional neural network, as the first paper out of ImageNet, and NVIDIA's GPUs defined the beginning of deep learning. But before that, neural network was not clear for everybody as a defining methodology. So was big data. People were not understanding the role of big data, but we had a conjecture that big data would change machine learning, would change statistical learning in a fundamental way. And so that's why ImageNet was developed with this dual purpose of a technical bet on big data, as well as a North Star of visual intelligence task, which is object recognition.
That is amazing. And I think the world needs more ImageNets. So today, our main highlight is behavior, a new robotics benchmark that your team has built. So could you share with the audience here a bit more about the behavior project and its connection and perhaps inspiration from ImageNet?
Yeah, I think, well, okay, in a nutshell, we just announced to the world the Behavior 1K or Behavior 1000 challenge, which is a comprehensive simulation benchmark and training environment for embodied AI and robotics. And the focus of the 1000 tasks are the everyday household long horizon, which we will define later, long horizon tasks that people that robots can help people with. And behavior is intended to give an open source environment for researchers across the world and across the embodied AI discipline to use to train their robotic learning algorithms, and also give an opportunity for the community to benchmark against a standardized list of tasks. So behavior is inspired by the fundamental problems of robotics and embodied AI, and the problems when it began, almost more than 5 years ago, we were seeing the lack of standardization in robotic learning. We were seeing very anecdotal choices of tasks that is very hard to compare from one paper to another. And also, obviously, we are also seeing that it's very hard to find training data, right? We faced that problem in the pre-ImageNet days for computer vision, but we are still facing that in robotics. So those are the pain point in robotic learning and research. So we were inspired by these and wanted to build behavior. I remember, Jim, you were part of the lab when we started behavior, and I even had conversations with you, even though you were focusing on your own dissertation and finishing the PhD at that time, but you were very excited and gave me and the team a lot of encouraging words about that.
Yes, I was there when behavior was first launched, and I can see how big of an initiative it grew into, right? Like kind of how many PhDs, right, dedicated their work to it and then making it really great. So it actually is super exciting for me to see it now reaching like 1,000 tasks and becoming this new competition that I hope the community can rally behind.
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to get into a little more details about what behavior is consistent of, the three core components. Should I?
Yes, yes. You have mentioned many things about behavior. It's a super complex project. Would love to unpack a bit. Perhaps we can start with you mentioned 1,000 activities. How did you select that 1,000 activities in the first place?
That's a great question. That did somehow bring me back some memories of ImageNet, right? Like the taxonomy of a problem domain is itself science, and of course, I spend a lot of time explaining how we selected the 22,000 categories for ImageNet. For robotics and embodied AI, it was even more challenging. To be honest, robotics is not just semantics. Objects can at least be captured more or less by word or word phrases of semantics, but robotics is trying to imitate human behavior that's accomplishing tasks, and many human behaviors of accomplishing tasks is not defined by words so easily. For example, I was just told that my microphone is scratching my zipper, so I have to use my hand to hold this. What is a word for that? What is a category that you can assign a label for this very behavior of my two fingers pinching this cable and lifting it away from my zipper, right? That's how challenging robotics is. But we have to start somewhere. And what we have seen is many of the tasks are very short horizon. For example, grab a block and put it on a table, or we call them more punctual tasks, or open a drawer, or place pick something up and place it somewhere. These are very important tasks, don't get me wrong, but behavior was intended to be bold and ambitious, and to really encourage ourselves and the community to go after truly complex human world relevant tasks. And the way we pick them is to look at how humans spend their time in every day. And how do you find where humans spend their time? It turns out governments, whether it's America or other governments, have surveys. The American Labor Bureau has a survey called American Time Usage, and that survey breaks people's daily life as well as daily work into a hierarchy of thousands of tasks. We actually went through that survey very carefully, created a candidate lists of more than 2,000 tasks.
Wow.
And then there's a very important question. Which tasks should we encourage the robotic community to build towards? And who is it to say? Is it Jim to tell us, or is it Fei-Fei, or is it someone else? We have smart students at Stanford, but how do we do this that's respectful of human lives and human desire? So we applied a human-centered approach and did a survey across more than 1,000 people over different demography, and asked them a very fundamental question: what would you like the robot to help you with? That's
Yes.
very important. It's a very human-centered way of approaching this problem. Instead of saying, what do you want robot to do that could potentially replace humans? We want robots to help our daily life and productivity. So the tasks ranges from opening Christmas gifts, playing squash, cleaning pets, all the way to wiping the floor, making bed. And as you can guess, very, very rarely people want robots to open their Christmas gift. Even though it's probably, I'm sure your robot can already do that, but that's just such a human behavior that we would love to keep for ourselves. It's the
We're not
delight.
referring to the robot. No.
Exactly. There was even a task of asking a robot to pick a ring. I mean, I really hope nobody does that. But we learned, for example, the top 3 tasks that people just unanimously want robots help are cleaning bathrooms, or washing floors, and cleaning after a wild party. I'm sure some of them are parents
You have my
answering that
vote.
survey. Exactly.
Vote for all 3, what you just said. I badly want that to happen as soon as possible.
How many wild parties do you have, Jim, these days?
Too few. Too
Yes.
busy. Too few.
Well, now that one day we'll have a robot, you can have more wild parties. But
Sounds great to me.
anyway, so the 1,000 behavior tasks were the top ranked by humans who want robots help.
Absolutely. And regarding robot task, so unlike static data sets for LLMs and computer vision, the tasks, they cannot exist outside of an interactive environment or simulation. So Fei-Fei, could you share a bit about how you design these interactive environments and about the simulation framework that you choose?
Well, this brings us to the collaboration with NVIDIA. I remember I was talking to Bill Daly, your chief scientist, and then a number of scientists on the NVIDIA robotics team. And there was a common shared desire. Let's try to do something that push robotic learning forward. And For simulating robotic behavior, you need to simulate environments that are interactable. So there are two very important things. One is an interactive environment of objects. So behavior ended up gathering 50 really high fidelity, fully interactive scenes that are across multiple spaces, from offices to restaurants to apartments. And within these scenes, we have around 10,000 objects that we have accumulated that are realistic, that are household scale. It can be articulated. Some of them are deformable, and these are what we call assets, as you know. And for academic or open source research scale, this is very, very large scale. Of course, I think privately, the scale can go a lot larger, but in contrast, most of the papers you see in robotic learning are just one or two much smaller desktop or countertop environments with dozens or not even interactive objects. So we're taking this to 2-3 orders of magnitude higher. And of course, interactive environments and objects need to obey the laws of physics and need to have collisions, need to drop with
Yes.
gravity, need to be heated and have higher temperature when there's fire, and need to get wet and all that. And that requires a simulator, a simulation engine. And that
Yes.
was our collaboration with the Omniverse and Isaacson within Omniverse. And that was, it was great for us because now the behavior simulation engine, which we call Omni Gibson, as a acknowledgement of our collaboration, supports rigid body physics as well as deformable objects like cloth and fabric and fluid interactions like making smoothies, and complex object states like heating, cooling, cutting, and all that, thanks to this collaboration.
Great. Yeah. With so many objects and things, I think this is almost unprecedented scale of a benchmark for robotics in simulation. And now
Yes.
that we have, yeah, please, Fei-Fei.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with you, and we're very excited because I think academia and the open research world is so hungry for scale, and we have learned in the past few years scaling law really matters, and this would offer a very important resource.
Absolutely. So now we discussed the task and environment. I think the other important part of the benchmark is data. And data is a very complex topic in robotics because it's not as simple as labeling whether an image is a cat or a dog or a plane. So how do you collect data in behavior? And what is your view on collecting data in general for robot learning?
Yeah, this is a very complex topic, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. And there are many ways to cut it. Let's just first talk about sim versus real. This is a major two categories of data. One is simulation data, one is real data. I really do believe to achieve the level of today's language model or vision model for robotics, which we're far from being there yet, the generalizable ability to solve behavior 1000 tasks, we need both sorts of data, right? We need both simulation data as well as real data. But why do I think simulation data is very important, and what can simulation data offer? One is that simulation data is a lot more scalable, right? We even
Yes,
with, let's
for sure.
say, this 50 high fidelity environments, 10,000 objects, interactable objects, and all the states, the dozens of states that the objects can take shape in. You are practically talking about a huge combinatorial number of potential states that you can offer the robot in the learning phase. So that kind of largeness, the big data, really does matter. Another thing that simulation offers is efficiency and safety, right? It's a lot more efficient. It's
Yeah.
to just compute and all kinds of states and offer robots that possibility rather than collecting physical teleoperation or however you collected data. And a lot of the situations you want to also be safe, right? It's one thing to just place a cube on a countertop. It's another thing to simulate all kinds of cutting, fire, you know, even cleaning after a wild party might not be that safe. So
Yes.
we can simulate that. And of course, standardization is a lot easier in simulation, and we can also bring human behavior into simulated environments through VR. And so there is also this kind of blend of simulation as well as real behavior. So I think these are the kind of data we can offer in simulation. And also, let's also be frank, we also need to make simulation. First of all, there is a real gap between
Yes.
simulation and reality. And that gap is caused by many reasons. Jim, I'm sure you know so much about this. Some of this is perceptual gap. Some of this
Yeah.
is the physical gap of the interaction, and some of this is the physics gap of simulation. And on one hand, we need to close the gap from the simulation side. This actually, I'm very excited that computer vision, especially both 3D computer vision as well as Gen AI these days, have really brought that, closed the gap so much more, right? We have really powerful stereo vision algorithm, really powerful video simulation or a video generation algorithm. And World Labs has also recently rolled out 3D or world generation algorithm
Those were
and
super
model.
impressive. I have seen
Yeah,
the demos of Marble. That was incredible. I don't
thank
think I
you.
can even tell if it's real or not.
Thank you. Well, that's music to my ears. We still have a journey to go, but we're closing the sim to real gap from the sim side, and also hopefully we also can close some of the real from the real side by bringing a mixture of real world data, because the hardware of robotics is also improving. I'm sure I
Yes.
visited Gear. Is that how you pronounce Gear?
Yes, Gear
I
Lab.
visited Gear Labs a couple of months ago, right? You met all your team members, and I see that the physics, the physical robots are just improving so much that it enables us to collect teleoperation data so much easier than when you were PhD students.
Yes, yes, exactly. And the next time you visit our lab, I hope that our robot can bring your book to you and then have it signed. That would be amazing.
Maybe the signing part should be by humans as well,
That
but
is right,
the
actually.
bringing the
Yeah,
book, I would love that.
that's the wrong task for the robot to do. Yes. And zooming out a bit, Fei-Fei. So, for benchmarking, I think for the areas of LLMs, for example, like the entire community has converged on benchmarks like MMLU and SweetBench, despite like different companies, different groups. But somehow in robotics, people do not seem to agree on a benchmark. And I certainly hope that behavior is the unifying force. But just zooming out, why do you think it's generally so hard and it takes the robotics community so long to agree on anything?
So first of all, I have a little bit of a hot take, Jim. I would not call that benchmarking LLMs or even computer vision has completely converged on one and the only one, or two, the only two. I think we need to be careful. Academically, I think, especially in the research, published research world, I think it's great that we have some standard data sets in both vision as well as in LLMs, like the MMLU, as well as the SweetBench and ImageNet, Coco, and all this. I think it's great. But in in a lot of cases, especially now, both of us actually also live in the industry world. In application areas, these academic benchmarks are not necessarily the best benchmarks, even for LLMs. So you can see specializations do happen, and they must happen for, for a medical use of LLM. I don't think MLU would be
Absolutely.
the right benchmark. So with that context in mind, robotics, well, I do think we need some level of standardization, especially in the early days where, we're so far from robots everywhere in every household that it really does help us to have more standard to push the community forward. And from that view, that's what makes behavior really, really exciting for me. It's a North Star tasks. Why is it so hard? Like I said, even defining the taxonomy of
Yes.
actions is so hard. I remember right after ImageNet, I actually went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on verbs myself. I
Mm,
wasn't sure what I would do with it, but I was just really curious. It turned out humans use, if you look at a corpus of, say, I remember I was using BBC corpus or whatever corpus I
mm,
was using, and I was mapping out the high frequency verbs, and there is only a few hundred of them. And a verb like
interesting.
take, get, make, they contain so much meaning to the point it's almost
It is so
meaningless.
context dependent, right? Like
Yes.
infinite number of meanings.
Yeah, so for robotics, how do you even find the taxonomy of defining the task was so hard. This is why I was so excited when my students and collaborators and I came up with the idea of an independent taxonomy that's outside of just researcher brain. It's going through the American Labor Bureau's American, task survey. So that's what makes the first thing hard. Um, Second thing is that I genuinely believe that robotics is so prevalent, its potential application, it is harder to unite people against a set of robotics tasks that is universal. Language is lucky. As vision people, robotics people, Jim, maybe we should just admit our envy to robotics to language, that
Yes.
question and answer is one of the most universal way of using language, right?
I'm very
And
jealous of that. They have a
me
unified
too.
way.
Me too. And Alan Turing, more than 70 years ago, already laid that out. We never had a Turing, and Vision didn't have a Turing, and I was very proud. ImageNet was part of that North Star. Now, robotics, we need a task like that, or set of tasks. So that makes benchmarking really hard. We're still exploring, and I hope behavior makes a positive difference. What do you think? Do you have a reason why benchmark is so hard?
I think the field needs another ImageNet moment. And that's why I'm so glad we're having this conversation today, because I really hope that behavior can be the first unifying force for it. And Fei-Fei, you are the thought leader in embodied AI, embodied computer vision. So I think this is a huge step towards the right direction. And I hope behavior can become right like this unifying force where everyone benchmark and everyone takes greater steps towards solving robotics.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Fei-Fei. In interest of time, let's maybe take one or two questions from the community. So, Enmar, please.
That'd be amazing. What a wonderful discussion this is. Okay, we've got a few questions we lined up. We'll try to move quickly. The first one comes from LinkedIn. I'll put it on the screen here. How are human values and ethical constraints encoded into a large model like GR00T or behavior trained system? Specifically, what measures are taken to prevent the robot from learning and executing unintended or potentially dangerous emergent behaviors during the training process?
I can speak for behavior, and I think Jim, you should speak for GR00T. For behavior, like I explained earlier, that one of the most important first steps we took is to really embody the belief that AI or our tools are to augment people and empower people, not to replace people. So we very intentionally chose the 1,000 tasks that our large survey of users told us that they would prefer to get robots to help instead of them doing it completely themselves in certain circumstance, especially cleaning, mopping, washing, and all that. So from that point on, the selection of tasks is very human centered, and I think it's a very important question that the data sets itself should be also human centered. And of course, these are environments, they're not static data sets. And I would love, honestly, behavior is still small. We only have 50 environments across 8 kind of settings, from office to restaurants. I would like to see these kind of training environment to be as diverse as possible across different, just different dimensions of our society in terms of the way the environments are, the objects are, and of course, keeping the human values in a large AI system, whether it's robotics or computer vision or LLM, is a multi-pronged approach. There's not a silver bullet. It's not like you fix data, everything is done, or you fix application, everything is done. You really have to embody and infuse the human-centeredness into the entire pipeline, and that takes a team, and it takes the team to believe we have the value system. Jim?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And actually, for the models like Groot, they learn from data, they learn from the tasks and environments. So they basically inherit. Let's say if it's training behavior, it inherits all the kind of the value and the priors that the behavior team designs. So I see model as deriving from the data, from the benchmark, and also like whatever benchmark that people use, it will also guide the models towards those desired behaviors induced by the benchmark. So yeah, 100% agree. And I think the model is a secondary.
Okay, great. We're going to try to go really quick. I know we're really tight on time. Here's one that comes in from YouTube, from Krish. For startups building these similar kind reinforcement learning environments, what is the most crucial simulation aspect to focus on?
Well, this is an interesting question. It depends on what you're simulating, right? Like, if your use case is really involves deformable objects or fluid or all this, that is very different from a rigid body environment. If your application is navigation, that's very different from manipulation. I think it really depends. What do you think, Jim?
100%. Yeah, I think it depends on the task. And then for different tasks, you have kind of different optimizations for the simulations as well, right? To kind of increase the throughput of the system and also the fidelity of the system. There are some tasks that sim to real gaps are larger and some are smaller. And as Fei-Fei explained, I think the generative tools these days are becoming a lot better to bridge those gaps over time.
That is very insightful. The whole discussion this past half hour or more has been extremely amazing to listen to and watch. Thank you both so much for coming today. I can't tell you how appreciative we are of you sharing your knowledge and wisdom and your experience with the community of robotics developers we have watching right now. Lots of people watching live. If you jumped in halfway through or at some point and you want to watch the whole thing, this is available on YouTube on the NVIDIA Omniverse channel right now. You can start at the beginning and it'll stay there forever. So don't be afraid to watch. Dr. Fei-Fei and Jim, thank you so much for your generating, giving your time today. Again, really appreciate it. You want to leave with any last words before I let you go, and then we'll cover some news for everybody else?
Fei-Fei?
I'm just very happy I get to spend time with Jim and everyone else. As your students graduate, you don't see them much. And I love always learning from my students like Jim. And also, I'm truly excited that we are in the civilizational moment, that the great convergence of so many AI technologies, from language to spatial to visual to embodied, are starting to make real difference for people. And I'm just excited that we can take it, always keep human-centeredness in mind, and make it a benevolent set of technologies.
I am
Great.
equally excited, and thank you so much, Fei-Fei, for setting the North Star once again for this new era of AI.
Thank you both. I really appreciate it. And for everyone else watching, I'm going to let our two guests go. You can tune in for just a few more minutes. We'll cover some great announcements. We've got GTC DC coming up, as well as some other exciting things. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, if you tuned in partway through today's live stream, there it is. That's what we just covered in this past half hour. It's going to be available on the YouTube channel. So just if you are missing the link, just go to YouTube, search for NVIDIA Omniverse, and you will find today's brilliant discussion with Dr. Fei-Fei and Dr. Jim Fan available for viewing right away. Also, this is also, if you really enjoyed this, you can dive into the behavior challenge. So if you're ready to take part, scan this QR code and get started. We hope all of you watching will take a moment to check that out. And as I mentioned just a few minutes ago regarding GTC, we've got the Physical AI and Robotics Day at NVIDIA GTC coming up. And unfortunately, I just heard that all the conference passes are sold out. However, exhibit passes for GTC DC are still available, and you can use a special discount code for 20% off. That code is GTC DC20. All capitals. I'll put that in the chat right now. If you missed this code, you can also grab it from our Discord server. So come on Discord, and actually on the Discord server, we may even have a better code that gives you another 5% off. So message me if you need help. You can reach me anytime by hitting me on LinkedIn, edmar.net. If you aren't able to join us in person, the super exciting thing is that you can watch the keynote from Jensen himself on the 28th. There's also going to be a pregame show. Full details are available on the GTC website. And if you already have your GTC Washington conference passes, do not miss these special sessions that are on the screen. There's plenty to see and learn. For folks that are interested in industrial AI and manufacturing, we've got the sessions for you. This QR code will bring you to a full listing of all those sessions. Don't forget to check out our sessions around computer vision as well. Super exciting about all the content we have displayed there, and another opportunity to connect with developers from our team to discuss these topics, as well as developers in the community. Some of you who are watching right now who may be coming. The community has set up a special WhatsApp group specifically for GTC DC. So if you are attending, again, this QR code is for those who are attending GTC DC, because we're going to discuss where to meet up for coffee, if we can help you navigating the conference floor or getting to any sessions, or if you want to help introduction to a partner. That's what this GTC WhatsApp group is for, specifically for attendees. So I hope I'll be there. Some colleagues of mine will be there as well, and we are super excited to meet and hang out with you. Tomorrow, we have a very special live stream. Again, this is an amazing week for NVIDIA Omniverse community. We have one of the most fantastic developers leveraging Omniverse and Isaac tools, and that is Lightwheel. They'll be joining us. The CEO, Steve, will be joining us with Madison Huang herself. And we're going to dive into how NVIDIA and Lightwheel are bridging the sim-to-real gap with SimReady and AI. There's some very exciting announcements. If you've been following them on LinkedIn, you may know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow a little bit more, but we're going to dive into these details tomorrow in a full live stream. I highly recommend you jump into, add this to your calendar. I'll put it in the chat right now. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to send me a message. But this is going to be a super exciting live stream. So I hope everyone out there can join us. Of course, we also have the Nebius Physical AI Awards. There's still time left on that. I don't have a slide available right now to show you, but just do a search for Nebius. That's Nebius Physical AI. You're going to see the awards page. We hope that you participate. If you are leveraging the Physical AI data set we have in Hugging Face, we want to hear from you, because we want to include your work in a potential video. So let us know if that work, that data set's helping you move any blockers or do your work quicker, and we would absolutely love to highlight you. Thank you so much for watching today. So many great questions and comments throughout. Obviously, this is a condensed, very special live stream, so we didn't get a chance to cover everything. But head over to our Discord server if you want to continue the discussion. I'll see you there, or else I'll see you tomorrow at this amazing Light Wheel live stream we have planned for 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see you there. Until then, have a great rest of the day, everybody. And big thank you, Dr. Fei-Fei and Dr. Jim Fan.